Hey, this is Dave from metalepidemic.com. Thank you for checking out our YouTube video. Please feel free to hit the subscribe button below if you like this type of content, and we hope you enjoy the review. Okay, Duncan, it's album review time.
Yes, finally. as if I can say anything about it. I'm the one that delayed this, so yeah, there we go.
So, on this review, Duncan and I have had the privilege of checking out the new album from Glaswegian metal band Bleed From Within. The band's fifth album, Fracture, is out now on Century Media Records. So I suppose it's fair to say that we're both aware of who Bleed From Within are.
Yes.
Both being Scottish, obviously, and being involved in the metal scene in Scotland and over the years, past years now, I'm getting old. This is a band that they've always been on our radar. I suppose they're one of the few bands from Scotland that managed to end up on a pretty prestigious label like Century Media, and they have done some pretty big tours with bands like Lamb of God, As I Lay Dying, Cancer Bats, just to name a few. I don't know about you, for me personally, they were a band that, like, in their early days, they probably, and I'm sorry to say this, it didn't really do it for me musically.
I'm with you. I think it wasn't that they didn't necessarily do it for me. I just didn't think there was anything necessarily remarkable about them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I think they came out of a scene which bred a lot of really really cool death metal bands. The Glasgow scene was fucking great for death metal bands for a long period of time, and I was never quite sure why Bleed From Within were the one that kind of rose to the top of the crop, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And clearly the label heard something there that, you know, I didn't hear. And it wasn't to say that I disliked them at all. I whenever I heard anything by them, I thought it was well written. And there was nothing there that really ever grabbed me. And was kind of like, you know, the word worthy is a terrible word, but, you know, this band is worthy of your time. This band is worthy of this, you know, of this elevated status within a scene where, like I say, there was maybe 2 or 3 bands that were around about the same time in the same genre of them. Where I was like that, well, why did they not have a record label? Because I think they're just as good, if not better. It is safe to say time has been very kind to Bleed From Within, though, in terms of their ability to write albums and continue on, because they, in my opinion, have only ever got better.
Yeah, I mean, Humanity and Empire were both okay albums. They didn't really leave much of a lasting impression on me, but to be fair to the band, those albums came out 10, 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And they were clearly still kind of honing their craft at that time. Their previous 2 albums, however, I did have more of an interest in, and I did feel like they were kind of growing into something bigger and better, and particularly on Era, their 2018 release. You could hear that the songwriting on that album felt of a kind of higher standard. So the band that were clearly developing over the years, I was quite intrigued to hear like where it would lead. And then they dropped the first single from Fracture, and I was completely sold at that point. The track was called Into Nothing. It's an absolute mammoth of a track, and I think for the first time I felt like Bleed From Within had made a bit of a statement of authority, I suppose. Like those big bands that we toured with, like we can compete with them almost. And it kind of made me more eager to hear the rest of Fracture. And I think it's safe to say that if you're a lover of the riff, you're probably going to dig this album. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, the guitar playing's fucking amazing on this album. It's like headbanging groove after headbanging groove. It's rapid, it's technical. It doesn't shy on breaking out a big chorus riff that you can sing your heart out on. Like, you talk about statements of intent. This to me is the bit where, listening to this album, this is the bit that I eat a slice of humble pie because of the aforementioned scene that they came from, I can't imagine any of those bands having an album that sounds like this. You know what I mean? I think that's where I'm like someone at some label had the long game planned out here and knew that this was in this band to do, and this is them touring. I think touring with larger bands, the likes of a Lamb of God, for example, kind of forces bands to elevate their game.
Yeah.
Because they're going out every night playing with a band that are, haven't compromised the heaviness of their sound, but yet are the biggest metal band in the world, sort of thing. You know what I mean? And I think that has only had a great impact on Bleed From Within. I actually really liked the previous album. I thought the previous album was really fucking good. Yeah. And you're right, you could see there were shades there of, I mean, this isn't like a massive departure from anything I've done before. It's just they've taken those elements and really honed the craft down. Like, suffice to say, I don't want to give away too much here, I fucking love this album. I think it's an absolute, to use a Glaswegian term, an absolute banger, Dave. Back to front.
Yeah, I mean, the way it kicks off, like the end of All We Know, which is like a more technical, more dissonant at times, mix of like Lamb of God groove meets the kind of death metal tones of like Feared, if you remember Feared.
There's weird bits of Slipknot in there as well, like kind of earlier Slipknot that just kind of hit me, and I wasn't expecting it. It was hit me and I was like, what the fuck? It was like
totally. But then it comes in with these like absolutely huge anthemic, almost like Bury Tomorrow-esque choruses. It's an absolute killer, like, first track, and it's made sound even punchier with its production.
Yeah, production's so fucking good.
Superb, absolutely superb. You often find that like bands will kick an album off with their best track.
Yes.
But Bleed From Within somehow managed to level up on track 2.
Yeah, or like
what?
Like Pathfinder kicks off with elements of kind of almost electronic loops and this really disjointed kind of guitar riff that they spring it with, which when you hear it at first you're like, right, well, that's just an intro, they're not going to really factor that in anywhere, and the track is just like, see when you like, someone asks, like, see if your wife says to you, how do I look? And you say the word, you look interesting, you're fucked, right? Pathfinder's a really interesting track, and I don't mean that in the dismissive, I don't want to say that you don't suit that outfit. It's a really interesting track. There's loads going on.
Yeah.
And it, like, to me, it was one of those ones that when it finished, I was like, I'm listening to that again. Straight away, like, right back, listening it through again. Like, every member of that band, from the vocalist down to the drummer, is doing something inherently interesting on this track. They're all doing their own little thing, and it all works. It shouldn't, but it all works. Yeah,
it's a track that's like, it's completely packed to the rafters with an array of like massive riffs and different tempos that'll keep you completely engrossed for its entirety. And I kind of felt like that about the whole album, to be honest. It's extremely tight from front to back, and an album that will kind of equally pummel you with like big juggernaut riffs just as much as it'll blow you away with their technical ability. But I suppose the real key to success on this album anyway is variety. I think it never becomes uninteresting, and I suppose that's, for me, it's down to a couple of different things. But first of all, the kind of clever little twists that they weave into the tracks, be it like a shift in pace or rhythm, like a change in double kick pattern or a streak atmosphere blended into the riffs, and like tracks like Ascend are like a perfect example of that diversity. It's technically heavy, but they balance it out with these big enormous grooves, and I love the fact that like they buried in some little kind of symphonic elements in the background as well. It really lifts the chorus up. I thought it was spectacular. Also one that you probably get more out of with each listen. So I found that I picked up little things that I never heard the first time round, like those little underlying symphonic sections or an alternative like tail on the end of a riff. And there's not one track that's like over 5 minutes on this album. It's all very to the point, and there's never a track that kind of outstays its welcome, I suppose.
They're all single then. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, that was the thing that I was listening. Like any of these songs could be a single.
Yeah.
And I think that's like in the genre that they're playing in, that is not easy, like at all. And like I think one of their secret weapons is the vocal melodies.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because
yep.
they come out of absolutely nowhere at times. Sometimes they come exactly where you expect them. Alright, this is a chorus. Hit me with it, and they do. But other times they do not the obvious with the vocal melodies, and it's layered as well. And as a result, you get this sense of this kind of monolithic sound, this huge wall of vocal sound as well that kicks in with the melodies, and it had me like smiling like a lobotomized patient, like dribbling at the side, just like genuinely like all those elements. So I'm saying everyone seems like they're doing something for themselves on this album, but not against the album, not against the song. You know, like a singer going, no, I need a singy bit here, so you need to write. It just seems like the guitarist was already thinking along the same page, and you get that with bands that have been together for a while. You know, like some of them find a groove and are never really wanting to change out of that. But it sounds like Bleed From Within have decided that this decade they're going to carve out a new niche for themselves and take it to the next level. And by God, does the UK need that at the moment with their metal acts? We really genuinely need like metal acts to be taking the next step up, and they're poised. This is the album that could do it for sure. And what I love about it is like even towards the end where you get the last track of Depth that No One Dares. I think that's almost like a mission statement for the album. Is I don't think one person that is a diehard Bleed From Within fan will anticipate what they've done on this album in terms of like this. To me, this seems like it should be on a major record label. It seems like it should be getting a massive marketing push, and it's almost like the industry is saying to you, this is your next big metal band. Like this is your next moving from the second stage to the main stage at a festival band. You know, there is like it certainly even though I really like that previous album, this to me is a monumental shift up. And I've listened to this album more times than I would care to admit. Once again, because there are other albums out there that I should be listening to. But it is such a. If you want to, here's probably the greatest compliment I can pay it. If you want to spend time analysing the musicality on this album, you can do it. You can sit, pick at what the guitar's doing, pick at what the drum's doing, and really delve into that. See if you want to just put this on as a metal album and appreciate it for that, you can do that as well. And it's not interchangeable. It's not like, well, you have to appreciate the technicality on it, or you don't want to. Like, no, it plays fine if you just want to switch your brain off and just have something really heavy play and carry you through whatever job you're doing. But if you want to sit there and dissect it, there is so much to dig out of this album. Yep,
absolutely. It may not be an album that's pushing massive boundaries in this genre, but what it does demonstrate is that Bleed From Within have put in a ton of work. And this album shows how much they've actually grown in the last 2 years. Their songwriting is the best it's ever been, and through that they've shown that they have a lot more to offer than just technicality. It's very tight, it's a consistently strong album. It not only oozes heaviness, but it's got the hooks to go with it. I loved it. Brilliant album, fantastic.
Nice.
Rating wise, I would probably go with I'm going to go 4.5 out of 5.
I'm also going 4.5 out of 5. And
nice.
I fully expect, and I hope the guys do check out this review and don't hate us for saying we weren't sold on the early stuff. But I tell you right now, I anticipate a 5 for the next album.
Yep.
I genuinely do. I think they're poised right now, and nothing makes me happier than a band who originated like 20 minutes from where I live. Like taking that next step up. I think they have on paper here the credentials and the potential pedigree to be fucking huge.
Yep.
There you go.
Definitely. If you want to check this band out, they're on Facebook, facebook.com/Bleed From Within Band. The album is out now, so go and check it out on Century Media Records. It's called Fracture. The band are Bleed From Within.